Welcome to the Back Office Podcast, the show that gives you a glimpse into the conversations, decisions, and fires that land on business owners' desks every day. We've got a powerhouse episode in store for you today. This is a special collaboration between two shows focused on helping businesses grow. The Dickie and Donny Show, presented by Business on Purpose, and the Back Office Podcast. If you're a founder, owner, or leader stuck in reactive mode, constantly putting out fires, in this episode, we will help you understand why that keeps happening, how to identify the real bottleneck in your business, and what systems can create real operational freedom. Brandon and Sean, Dickie and Donny, great to have you both here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, excited about it, and hope you guys are ready for the total tornado that's coming your way, because we are a total disaster, but we're happy to be here.
It's gonna be like my wife's
Tornado
aunt.
Alley. We're good with that, man. We can roll with it. So
My wife and I joke
we're
when-
super, go ahead, Donnie.
No, my wife and I joke.
Is on the screen.
Yeah, what you call me, whatever you want to call me. Our editor does not allow us to go by our real names, for it is confusing. He's also been asking us for the consistent intro for 2 years, and we've never gotten him one. So we like to push the limit. When my wife's aunts come into town, it's a tornado, and you just can't brace for it. So I like to think that's how we are being perceived right now, and it's kind of fun to be on this side of things.
Okay, I like it. I like you bringing the wind energy with you.
That's what we
Yeah,
do.
we're super excited to have you guys on here. So I was talking to Dickie before the show got started about how we actually connected. And there's a local home builder here in Kansas City where Zach and I are located. And I was up in his office and saw some literature about business on purpose and just started asking questions and learned a little bit more about you, and have seen so many times where guys who are business coaches can offer just a ton of help to businesses that are on the path to growing and don't really know how to get past some of the stuff, the chaos of their own life. So super excited to have you on here, because we're kind of doing two separate things to help business owners grow their businesses, right? And you're taking a different angle, different perspective from what we are, but so needed. And just helping the businesses to get out of that chaos into the clarity. Brendan, Dickie and Donny, if you guys can just do us a favor and tell us a little bit about who you are, how you think, what got you here, and what it is that you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, I'll kick us off. So I started out of college as a superintendent, worked for a home builder, and did some work in carpentry out in Seattle, and did about 12 years of leadership in a nonprofit, and kind of wandered into coaching, snake oil salesman as we call it. But it seems like business coaching has got a weird name. But I've been working with the team for a couple of years now, and yeah, our goal is really to get people out of that chaos. Like you said, we've got an operating system that we install into businesses to get clarity around the four main pieces of business: purpose, people, process, and profit. And so one of the things I love about what we do is that it's hooby-jooby, how you feeling, let's get you feeling better. It's really building tools and getting practical work together that you can run a business with clarity and with purpose without it running you. And so, it's been a lot of fun, and Donnie's become a good friend. We like to play Fortnite while his kids go to bed, and my kids are out doing whatever. We're kind of.
Yeah, we're in two very different stages of life. I have a 5-year-old, 2-year-old, and a newborn, and his kids are all driving like ancient kids. So we're just in very different stages of life. But my work experience, I actually started in the nonprofit field. I was a director at a pretty big summer camp, and got like the kind of a different structure to the camp, but hired 150 to 200 people a year, managed all of them, managed millions of dollars of budgets. And like, I was 22 years old, freshly married, had no idea what I was doing. Knowing what I know now, I'm like, wow, camp would have been so much easier on this side of things, to be like, wow, if someone just would have said, hey, this has worked before, let's try this. But there was none of that. And my wife's family brought us out to South Carolina, and I taught and coached football for a while and did that. But I kind of lost the feel of, I just like helping people get what they want. And I feel like at camp, in a lot of ways, I got to do that with teaching. Nobody wants to learn. Like, high school kids don't want to learn. So I was not helping anybody do anything they want to do. And it was just a pretty big strain on our family. We got pregnant with number 2. And I knew through our community, some of the BOP, Business on Purpose people, had the utmost respect for them. I actually reached out to them out of like, hey, you work with all these businesses. Do you know anyone that's hiring? And then through that conversation, it was like, hey, we actually think you're a good fit. And I've been in now 3 years or so, and Love it. I absolutely love it. It's cool because we get to come alongside people, and we don't 10x your business unless you want it. We don't come in and hire a bunch of people unless you want it. We always start the very first meeting with a new client. I'm having one tomorrow with an electrician here locally. My very first question should be, what do y'all want? We walk through what we call vision story. There's 7 segments, and they identify what they want, and then we take the product and the operating system that we know so well, and we get them what they want. And it's just, it really is a lot of fun. And we work mostly with construction companies, a lot of custom home builders, a lot of contractors, which just is a like culturally just really good fits. Like they're not all men, but it's like just good old boys. And you just get to know some amazing people and get to do work with some amazing people. So it's fun.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks. And I imagine that kind of coaching mentality as you go from coaching high school kids in football to coaching business owners, that there's a different set of skills, tactics that they need to know, but probably the eyes of just watching people develop and
Hmm.
seeing where there are lacks and gaps, I mean, are something that probably jumps out. What's something, as you get involved with a new business, when people come to you, and obviously we want to talk more about that throughout this show, but what's something that you often see when you first get started with a new business?
I'll answer because I just had this conversation last week. They don't feel the freedom to dream. When you're like, what do you want? What do you mean? What do I want? What do you want? How much money are you at right now? Where do you want to be 2 years from now? I don't know. Okay. How many employees do you think you'd want to have? I don't like, they just don't feel the freedom to dream. They've been in such chaos that they're still in survival mode, and they know it's impacting those around them, and it eliminates their ability to dream. And I think Dickie and I would both acknowledge it's really fun for us when you meet with somebody and they actually dream. Like, what do you want? They're like, man, I'd love to be the biggest woman-owned company this side of the Mason-Dixon. And you're like, heck yeah. I don't know if it's going to happen, but heck yeah. Like, let's get after it, because they just have the ability to actually dream. So often the people that we run into have been beaten down so badly by chaos and whatever it would be that they don't know what they want. So it's kind of a discovery process throughout coaching.
Yeah, I love
Thanks,
that.
man.
Yeah, Donnie, so true. I mean, people are stuck in that what's the amygdala, the lizard brain of like survival, that they can't get out of the, oh, there's another option. I could live a different way. And so even just giving them, what if we hit these targets or hire these people? Oh, that's possible. Oh yeah, we could do that. Right? It's just like there's a relief in somebody's with me that has done this for 50 companies before, that are general contractors, and we can walk them through most of the problems we've seen. It could be estimating, it could be selections, it could be client communication. I mean, there's all the same issues that we see pretty regularly that we're like, yeah, we've seen that. We're not scared of dealing with angry homeowners.
And so often just having somebody who's from the outside but has some understanding of what's going on is so helpful, because what I've heard so many times from business owners is like, I don't want to talk to my spouse about this anymore. They're sick of hearing about it. I don't want to talk to my employees about it because they can't know about the chaos that I'm going through. Can't talk to my friends about it because they just say, well, must be nice to own a company, right? It's such a lonely thing. And then to have somebody who's like, oh no, we experience this, we get this, and what you're going through is difficult, but it's normal and there's a way out of it, right? I think that is so helpful.
Yeah, I
100%. Yeah,
agree.
we kind of have to coax those kind of same answers out from like our perspective. Is I talk to a lot of business owners about the value equation. Is like, what's that dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement versus the time delay and effort and sacrifice. And so when I ask the dream outcome portion, I just really early on in my career would assume that they would have that all mapped out. And as I had more and more conversations, the latter is a lot of people haven't really thought about that. They're in survive mode. A lot of the times they just get into business because they're tired of working for the man, or they're really trying to take complete ownership of their situation and provide for their family. The name on their back of their jersey that's what their focus is. So definitely resonate with trying to have to ask the 15 questions to get to the one question.
Yeah, and the other thing we see, I think, most pretty quickly, like you said, Zachary, I'm going to piggyback on that, is the most business owners have a job, they don't have a business. And so they are stuck in the business, estimating, planning, marketing, sales, operating, receivables. They are the business. And so they haven't thought about, well, I can build a structure or build a system that is actually the business running that doesn't need me. We say all the time, we need to build a business that can run and grow with or without you. And if you don't have that, well, you have a job, which is fine. You can be a great builder. You can be a great trim carpenter. But if you want to build a business, I ask my builders all the time, do you want to be a builder or do you want to be a business owner that builds houses? And there's a different way to approach that type of the way you build a business based on their answer.
Yeah, and so, when they do describe that problem or the problem that they believe they're having, what are some of those problems that they self-diagnose themselves that you're hearing?
I mean, we really to answer that very shortly are the people, purpose, process, and profit. I don't have a grasp of my people. People, like, if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. Nobody knows what they're doing. Like, I hired that person 14 years ago. The role I hired them to do, they're no longer doing. I don't know what's getting caught or what isn't. So, like, just the scorecards of what are we expecting from people, and then how do I bring people in financially? I don't know. Big builders turn into banks, right? They just receive money, they spend money, they don't know what they have, and they're no longer building beautiful houses. They're trying to focus on a banker, and they know how to be a great trim carpenter and not a banker. So just the lack of clarity around finances, purpose is I don't know where I want to go. And we say it all the time, vision without implementation is hallucination. It's like I have this vision, but I don't know what to do about it. If where there is no vision, people scatter is an old proverb, and I think it's absolutely true. That, and then the process side of it is like, well, I might have an amazing job, but everything is in between my head. And if something happens to me, and we say life and business necessarily intersect, stuff happens to people all the time. Now, this is a heartbreaking situation, but life happens. We had a client, and he digs wells, and he had a heart attack and passed away, and the business went to his son, and 9 months later his son passed away. And you're like, in that moment, it's real. It's real life, right? And it's really cool that we get to walk into that just from the ministry side of what we get to do. It's really cool that we get to walk into that. But at the same time, life and business intersect. And in that moment, everything was in between their head or in between their ears. And so they have no process. Really, almost every headache that we hear from a business owner fits into that mold. So I don't want that to be a cop out. Overwhelmingly, the two that we hear, money problem and people problems, which usually means it's actually a process problem and not one of those two, weirdly. So yeah, that's a lot of what we hear.
Yeah, that's really insightful. And I was looking at your website, and I just said, the 4 P's: purpose, people, process, profit. And that seemed like a reoccurring theme in the website was your guys' process. Is there a little story is like Joe and I, we've been working together for a little bit over a year. And in our previous role, we had kind of went through a business framework, and we actually sat down with our then CEO, and we were trying to figure out some of these problems. We were trying to self-fix some issues that we had within the organization. And we spent, I don't know, Joe, probably 3 hours at foundational level. We just couldn't. Joe and I were very, very in line with the same thoughts. Our CEO was really kind of off somewhere else. And so is there of the 4 Ps, do owners usually want to jump past 1 or 2 of them too quickly, and you guys have to slow down the process with them? Or does it move more frequently? Like, you guys can just start where you meet the business owner where they're at.
Most business owners know they have a people problem. Like, a lot of our business owners are drivers, and so they want to get things done, and so they run people over or they burn people out typically. So most of our business owners, they know, I need help with people. Leadership, could be meeting structure, could be reviews. Like, they know that. They think they need help with finance. Like, we could work on some finance, but the process side really is like, we have to convince them they have a problem with their processes. And I often tell them, I'm like, I can't scale, automate, delegate any of your processes if it's not clear that I could follow it. Like, if a 6th grader can't follow your process, we've got to get a visibility or write it down, do something with it. But most of our business owners are like, that's probably for later. Let's get this, fun stuff done now. And I was working with a builder. They had like a 10-step process to review invoices and receivables every month. And I think it touched like 7 different people. And they were like, we're just really stuck. And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's look at it. We literally wrote down every step, every person. And I said, what do you see? And this was just the coaching side. And they're like, that's a lot of things happening. And I was like, yeah, you've got 1 bill that needs to get paid by 1 person, and like 7 people are touching it, reviewing it, adding it, Excel, email. And so we just compressed the process. We got rid of all the mess. And they said, this was so helpful. Just a clarity around, can we simplify these things that don't need to be hard?
Yeah, Zach, to go to that question,
kind of stuff,
go for it, Joe.
I was just going to say, often that stuff kind of just grows up over time, right? Like, like weeds because it's, oh, well, this person missed it last month, so let's put a new policy in place. Oh, then
Like,
a year later, one other thing happens, and let's put another policy in place. And all of a sudden, you have huge, this huge piece of red tape that is just holding you back from just moving forward. So that's huge. But Donnie, what were you going to say, man?
No, I was going to say with the specifics of your question, Zach, of like, do people want to jump over things and get like our process and our operating system, it all intertwines. Like to have really clear processes is really effective if you have a really clear structure of your organization, because then so and so meets so and so. So they kind of intertwine. But like one of our kind of inside the cupboard on our end is we a lot of the times coaching can be a big expense people have never made before. So we kind of have to give them what they want to earn the right to give them what they need. And there are times I've had clients now for a number of years where it's like, hey, respectfully, we're not going to do that. I'm like, at this point, this is needed. And I know you want that's flashy but we need to do this. But early on, I want to make sure someone gets what they want. Now, there are times when you could maybe talk them off a ledge, but it's pretty normal that in the sales process of BOP, they see something and that's what they remember. So they're paying us to do it all, but they're paying us for that thing that they remember seeing. So we want to get them that thing very, very quickly, right? So it's kind of our internal, like, how do we don't coach on at the time of this recording, we don't coach based on a contract. So like every time I just got off a coaching call with a guy that I work with out of Dallas, if I butchered today, he could fire us. So today really matters for the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. So there is a big value of like, hey, we don't want to just sit back and say, tell us where it hurts and we'll help you with that. We're very proactive, but early on, it's a little bit of a dance in that mindset to make sure someone gets what they need and what they want. So yeah, it all works together though.
makes perfect sense. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Kind of the same thing on our end is, somebody would be like, hey, we need help with our social. And it's like, I don't know if you really need help with your social based off the goals that you're telling me to do, but we'll help you with your social. Let's just kind of talk over here. So you kind of, I definitely resonate with kind of what you're saying is address what they need to earn the trust to have those harder and tougher conversations down the road.
Yeah.
What do y'all see as the biggest challenges with business owners coming to you problem wise? What are their gripes?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing that I really see for the most part is people are coming to a marketing company for leads. And so they come to us and they just say, I just need the phone to ring, right? I need to get the phone ringing. I need those email submissions. I need to get some free estimates out. And when I get the estimates, I kill it. I have a 90% close ratio, whether it's true or not. They'll say that, right? And so they really want the leads to be done. But a lot of times they come in and they've heard something about marketing, like Zach was just alluding to, of, I've heard that social media is where it's at, so I really need to go with social, or I've heard these ads are really where it's at, and so I really need to go with that. And so they come to us sometimes with what they think is going to be the solution, even if it's not going to be the solution. And we really want to come in as consultants at that point and just say, hey, if that's what you're going to pay for, okay,
Yeah,
we
we'll
can
do
do
it.
it, but it's not going to help you. So here's what we can actually do to help. That's actually going to get the phone ringing. But that's the biggest thing that I see. Zach sits in a different seat because I'm more of the guy who interacts. I'm the sales role, so I talk to people when they're first trying to figure it out, help them come up with a strategy, and Zach kind of nurses that strategy along. So Zach, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that picking and choosing marketing strategies. I mean, I always say there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and there's rights and wrong ways. Sometimes people just come in, it's like, hey, I want to do social, and oftentimes for most of the businesses I get to work with, it's not the right play, and that goes against conventional wisdom of what they've heard, and so I like to focus a lot on a system, a lead engine, something that is repeatable, identifies solutions at each stage of the marketing funnel. And today we've kind of moved away from a traditional funnel to kind of like a spherical process of engaging, creating loyalty, generating, acquiring leads.
What's striking for me is that that you've picked up on and that we're hearing is it sounds similar to when we talked to a financial planner last week on the podcast. And we often encounter the same kind of things in dealing with people. And I'm sure if we have a home builder on here, he'd be like, I start building a home and they tell me what they want to get. They tell me how I should do it before they actually know what's going on. And I think it's probably just a people thing, right? In dealing with people. And I know a few of us have nonprofit backgrounds and we say all the time, no mess, no ministry, right? People all bring their backgrounds and their questions. And that's part of the joy of getting to help people along with that. Yeah, what were you going to say, Dickie?
Have y'all seen the movie Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, the old real estate movie? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you guys got to watch this. It's a little vulgar, but you'll get by it. They talk about these leads, about like these timeshare leads, and the guys keep saying, "I want the good leads," because they won't give them the good leads. It's the always be closing meme. You've seen that. That's where it's from. But they're like always talk about these good leads, and every time somebody says good leads, all I can hear is Alec Baldwin talking about, you don't deserve the good leads. When you can show me you close these, I'll get you the good ones.
That's definitely something we get a lot.
Definitely seen the
I
meme.
want the good
Not
leads. Yeah.
maybe the show or
Yeah.
movie.
So a question that I have for you is when a business owner is drowning in chaos, what's often the very first win that you look to give them the breathing room? I mean, you said that you kind of have to go on, what are they feeling? What's their perceived pain at that point? But then when you are actually, when you're starting to make progress, what's that first win that you often see?
We say this a lot. The biggest combatant to chaos is clarity. And they don't always need to see good things. They just need to see clearly. And they may not like what they find, but it's clear now. And they know what the actual problem to address because they don't go for one of the smoke screens that they think is the issue. They think the issue is we're not charging enough. The issue is we don't have clarity of what we're actually doing and we're charging enough. We're losing money here or here or here. So the very first thing we do, I mentioned it earlier, we call it the vision story. And we see a little bit of like, okay, it was nice to get my thoughts down. Now I actually know where I'm going. And then we hit immediately we hit on a few of our financial dashboards because those take a little time to add some clarity because you can't just, 1 week compared to the next is not a sign of growth. We might have just had a big week, but we're still drowning or whatever. So we get some financial dashboards up and running, but that financial clarity piece is one of the initial, like, that's what I'm spending. Like I had no idea. And it's kind of weird because we are typically, we're always on the like list of what they're spending is business on purpose, just like you guys would find yourself on the list of those expenses. So to reveal to them you're way overspending, like we coach our younger coaches of like, you have to be so confident because they hired you to show you this. And I look at it and I'm like, they're going to fire me. They're going to get me go. Like, this is an easy one to chip off, but it's not, right? But that financial clarity is probably one of the first. It's very rare that we jump to finding clarity somewhere else first. Even if they have a huge hire they need to make and we need to hit on a hiring process and we need to build out a BA onboarding process and get the first month mapped out and compensation and all, like we have to have financial clarity to even start that because that role deserves 80 grand and you can only pay them 30. You think, and you can't. You can pay, we have to have so the financial clarity is probably the initial jump into that for us.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think do they have the resources to keep running the business? If you run out of money, you have no more ability to run a business. So we try to get, both. We've got like a bunch of different views. So we've got forecasting, which is 3 to 13 months out. We've got current cash balances. We do a certain dashboard with their current cash. We do a P&L review. It's all that's the first month. We're all getting up and running. And then I'd say time-wise, we want to assess, what are you doing with your time? Like your time, you've got 50, 60 hours a week, usually on business owners, and we're going to map them out 15 to 30-minute chunks all week long. You're emailing, you're estimating, you're planning, you're driving. I had a guy, he was driving like 5 hours a day, and he was going from Charleston to Somerville down to Edisto. It was like an hour loop in all the directions. And so what we ended up doing was hiring 2 different 1099 superintendent contractors to run some of those jobs for him, just so he wasn't driving all the time and he could get kind of face to face with some of the cash needs. So like Donnie said, a lot of these things work together. If they're driving all the time, they can't focus on their cash and where their money is. And so you just keeps you stuck in a loop and never getting progress. So I'd say time and money, really doing an audit of where you spend your time, where you spend your money.
Yeah.
And when you do that audit and people start to get this clarity, I mean, Donnie, you said they're like, do you really get that visceral reaction where it's like, oh my gosh. And what does that look like? Is it like a, wow, this is a breath of fresh air? Wow, I feel like an idiot. Is it a mixture? What do you normally see?
There usually is some visceral response. Like, I mean, there's a lot of tears of like guilt and shame. And it's usually like, no, there's no, like, don't sit there. We figured it out. Let's chase after it now. Like, we're good. Like, there's no mess, no ministry. So there's a lot of that with us. And the there is a very visceral response when they start to see things. When we start to say, hey, we are creating our bids based on these percentages and our business is running on these percentages. So let's get 8 bank accounts and let's subdivide our cash based on those percentages and we should be fine. And they're not fine, and we make an adjustment, and all of a sudden all of their numbers start to grow, and they did nothing different other than manage the money differently. And you start to see, hey, you started last month with 38 grand in cash. Like, we're up to 48 and we're all paid out. You made 10 grand. And they're like, I made 10 grand. You're like, and we have it in cash. It's not just that your P&L shows you, we're like, we have it in cash now. And then at the end of the year, they get charged 71 grand for taxes. And they're like, but I had 84 in my tax account. So I just got a $13,000 bonus because I paid my taxes and I get the extra. So there is a very it is very visceral. It is very aha. And a lot of the times, because our owners are drivers and our clients are drivers, it's like, what's next? Okay, I'm not going to
Yeah.
hesitate and celebrate that. What do I do now? Like, what's the next thing to chase after? Because I want that. But there is yeah, I mean, and it's
Also, on the other side, it's the negative side of like realizing their business isn't profitable. If you got 40 grand a month in overhead, and then I'll look at a red number on profit per month, and I'm thinking they don't even know their business isn't profitable, because if you get 100 grand in a check, 80,000 is going right out the door to cabinets and trim and floors and all the pretty stuff, and they don't realize that the money in, money out is just barely. So it's like, oh, you'd be better off making more money just getting a job working as a builder for somebody else, which is a hard reality, but we can make adjustments along the way. I think just getting that clarity for them is showing our value and showing our expertise and helping them see.
Yeah, I hear that so many times from small business owners who've started this thing and they're like, where is it going?
Mm,
We have money coming through the bank account, but I'm broke. My wife is the one supporting us, right? And what's actually happening to the money? And they're really asking, right? Like
oh yeah.
they're saying, what is going on here? I have a buddy who does is more on the financial side, and he and I used to serve the same group of clients from coaching industries within the automotive repair industry. And he said with what he did, he'd actually look over people's books, and he said he could see from just looking at their revenue. He didn't look at, when they started paying the coaching company. Just from looking at revenue, he could see when they joined the coaching company, and then what quarter they joined the coaching company, and what quarter they actually started to get it and put it all into practice. And he could tell just by looking at it, because people, I think they'd have that aha, and then they'd start to enact it. They'd have that momentum. What's something that you see that's like a momentum driver with your clients? Like, hey, this is a point where, okay, you said a lot of your people are drivers, which I think that's one of the coaching or one of the like personality assessment tools, right? A driver.
Yes.
So when you have these drivers and they get it and it's momentum, is it like, okay, now I'm ready to take off. Now it's, give me all the Kool-Aid you can give me because I'm ready to drink.
I'd probably say our hiring process, when we hire the right people, most businesses really struggle to get good people, so they think, and we get clarity around the function of the business and then the resources of the business. So I need this role to free me up. I have these resources, and then I find a great fit and we build a 30-day onboarding. When that goes well, they realize I don't need to be fearful of bringing people in anymore. Like, I think there's such a stranglehold. I'm controlling this business. Everything needs to pass through me. But typically that leadership ceiling is you can only grow the business as hard as you can work. So then you're kind of stuck working. And so when they really release some of that, you see transformational growth in companies. When you're able to hire virtual assistants, executive assistants, part-time work, when you allow that work to go through you and not go around you instead of through you, we really see a pretty powerful, just a growth trajectory in the business. What would you say, Donnie?
Yeah, that's good. I was not thinking of that, but it's so true. They've just been burned so many times. I think one of the big momentum is the subdivided bank accounts is huge. And when they actually subdivide their accounts and we're actually tracking it, call it 3 months, there's a lot of momentum because they just have clarity. So they're making decisions confidently. Even if the decision I'm not going to buy that flatbed truck because I can't afford it, they're making it confidently now, which is a totally different world for them. Another one is the way we document our processes. We put them all in one place, and we have a very regimented training schedule around that. When they start to see their people drop less balls, when they start to see, wow, we have tighter loops now, like people are giving feedback. We are no longer missing that step in the process because we have it and we've trained on it. And there's a lot of like, okay, so I can trust people to be as good as me. Like I can, which goes to the hiring. Like when they can start to trust that their people are doing it as good, if not better than them, there's a like it gives them the ability to dream again because they're like, well, now I'm not just playing chess anymore. Where what's the next right move? They're now back into becoming an artist, and they're like, what can we do? Rather than what do we need to do? There's a totally different questions. And there's little pieces that give them that taste. And a big one is when they can start to see people doing things the right way again, or the way they would do it without needing to be asked. That's huge, huge.
Yeah, I imagine. And Zach, I'll hand off to you to do one of the fun segments in just a second.
Yep.
But one last question, kind of following up with some of this, is you're talking, Donnie, about some delegation pieces, and Dick, you're talking about when the business is going around them rather than through them all the time. I'm guessing probably a conversation that you have with clients when you're seeing success is when they're coming to you and like, man, I'm able to take the first vacation, the first real vacation that I've taken in, and things aren't going to just burn down. This is incredible. I mean, is that something that you hear from them sometimes?
Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Yeah. You get people that are like, I didn't even bring my phone. You're like, you were gone for a week and didn't bring your phone? Like, yeah, didn't need to. Especially when they go and the business grows without them. And they not only like got more work, but it like everything went fine. And we call them stress tests. I'm at the point where I'm trying to convince one of my owners. I'm like, leave for a whole month. You don't have to go anywhere. Stay at home, but get away for a month to either show you the gaps of where you need to continue training or to prove to you that you've done the good work, because they're running right now and they don't need him. And I'm trying to convince him to be gone for a month. He said he could leave for a weekend, which is not helpful. But yeah, it's pretty. I'll tell you a smaller example is when they get to go to their kid's baseball game again. I mean, when they get to make it to the dance recital, or when they get to pick their kid up at school when they've never been able to pick their kid up from school. Like, yeah, the vacations are great, but even some of those, like, hey, I've set my schedule up to be off at 2:30 on Thursday so I can get to school to pick you up, and we're going to go to McDonald's and we're going to get a cookie or what, like that. Just, man, some of the coolest things get to happen when you get clarity. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is super
Yeah,
cool.
and you realize the work that you're doing is making that impact. That feels pretty good to not just get a paycheck, but to realize like, man, lives, not just this business owner's lives, but his kids are getting that cookie, right? His employees probably, I'm guessing, they feel a lot less stress when they're living in a system. So, all right, Zach, I know you have some fun segments here.
Yeah, we'll just try one of our segments. We call it Kill Your Darlings. Okay, and so basically I have a question for Brandon. I think Joe has a question. So, Donnie, what is one operational habit you've seen founders cling to that makes them feel informed but actually keeps them blind?
One thing they do that keeps them informed but leaves them blind.
Yeah, so the reason the segment's called Kill Your Darlings is we're basically killing something that you think that operationally most businesses should maybe step away from.
I love it. I don't want to step away from it, but I need to because that's actually going to free me.
Yeah.
Running their own meetings, not going to the meetings. But for instance, I'm a builder and I have 3 project managers. I'm the builder. I run the meeting. Hey, project manager A, what's going on 123 Maple Street? Have we ordered this yet? Is this delivered? Is this? They think they're getting the clarity, but they're the huge bottleneck to that PM ever owning their own jobs. And so everything has to go through the owner because they're still running that meeting. Should the owner be in that meeting? Yeah, they can have their own agenda item of, hey, you talk to us from the owner. But when they're not allowing their people to take ownership of their roles and they're breaking that because they're running the meetings, they think they're getting information, but they are halting the potential growth of both their employees and their business.
Yeah, I'd add on checking cash balances. Everybody's checking your bank accounts, and it's never a helpful number. Just like being a slave to how much money's in there. I did the same thing. If there was 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, I got my new kind of targets. And if it went less, I got freaked out. I had no idea what those numbers meant. No idea if I was profitable, but that was the number you used.
All right, thanks. So question for you, Dickie, is what's similar one. What's one leadership habit founders defend way too long that quietly trains their team to stay dependent?
One leadership habit that they stay in that trains their team to stay dependent. I would probably say knowing the right answer all the time, being the person that has to have the right answer. I felt that when I was people come to you as a leader, they say, "What's this process? What's this thing we're doing? What's the next thing? Where are we with this?" You feel like, well, the leader's supposed to know all these things. But if you continue to be the source of all those questions, you're not giving your team really space to flex their muscles and be a part of that. So I think our owner does a great job of really, yeah, what do you guys think? Let's talk about this. Giving ownership into your team and it's allowing your team to answer questions that you know the answer to, but you just kind of purposefully say, I'm not going to answer that so that people can work their own process.
Yeah, that's perfect. One of a big win. It's not something that I talk a lot about within the company, but when somebody comes into our relationship that's not the business owner, and from a marketing perspective, somebody else comes in and starts taking over some of that marketing, that is a huge win, and something that I always look for is as soon as I stop meeting with the business owner on their marketing, it's a win. That could be their receptionist, that could be somebody that they trust within their organization. And it just happened today, actually. Met with a business owner that I've worked with for 10 years at this point. And today he finally said, I've hired this person to help me out, help me get into a CRM, help me get into some of these other marketing things we've never been able to do. And I was like, this is perfect. You go to Brazil for 2 weeks now, right? It's like you go do you. And so that's a huge win. And I think that dovetails really nicely into what you were saying, is having that owner dependency of always being the one that takes on the jobs, takes on the main answer.
So, yeah, I really appreciate you guys and just this discussion and what you've brought to it. Obviously, you're working with these, you're in the trenches all the time with your clients and helping them and seeing the victories. We have a few minutes left. Can you just give us really, I mean, an overview of what all you do? And then for some of our listeners, some of our clients who are listening right now, who are saying, man, that sounds so refreshing. I could use this in my life, in my business, in my family. Tell us how to get in touch with you.
Go ahead, Donnie, kick it
Okay.
off.
Thanks, Dickie. So we exist to liberate business owners from chaos. We focus on the four main pain points: purpose, people, process, profit, and we do it leveraging our proprietary business operating system through Business on Purpose. So we coach one-on-one. That is 95% of our business is one-on-one coaching with business owners. We are a team of 12. With 7 professional coaches, with an 8th being our owner that coaches kind of his OGs.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. But that is the bulk of what we do. We coach clients all over the world. We have 3 in other countries, which is kind of cool. Primarily United States of America, obviously. But the one-on-one, if you're looking at what it is, we meet twice a month. We started BOP and it was once a week. Owners were like, hey, this is a lot. We went to once a month and implementation stopped. So we went back to twice a month. It's every other week essentially. And we are very proactive. We say, hey, we have the system. You tell me your problems. Trust your coach who's an expert on the system to get you through it. And we walk you through it. We are the ear. We also are the third party outside voice. I get to travel to Pennsylvania this week and I get to spend time with 4 different teams. And I get to be the one. The owner's been saying it for years, but when it comes from my mouth, it means something totally different. It's like I coach my son all the time and he doesn't listen, but his coach says one thing and it's stuck forever, right? So we very much so are that outside voice. So that's a lot of what it looks like, right? We have kind of 3 offerings. We call it our base camp, which is if you're going to go hiking, get your tools, your pack, your water, your boots, get everything ready to make the hike to go where we want to go. That vision is different for every client, but that's our operating system. Once we start climbing, we call that the first mountain. And that is the relentless implementation of everything we just spent a year building. And this is where we do stress tests. Great. Now we're actually stepping into our vision. Let's say I wanted to have multiple branches. So we open another branch and we try it with what we have. It doesn't work. We go back to the drawing board, we fix what we need and we do it again. So we do that. And then once we get to kind of the peak of that first mountain, what do you always see over a mountain? Another mountain that's even taller. So we call that the second mountain. That has never looked the same way twice, because once you actually have clarity and your business actually grows and runs without you, you have no idea the freedom that we'll give you. And everybody that we have say, man, I want to sell my business. Great. Come work with us. We'll clean it up. We'll help you sell it. They get 2 years down the road and they're like, I'm making more money than I've ever made. I'm back to loving the work that I always loved. And I have more time than I've ever had. Why would I want to sell? I don't know. So what do we do now? Well, we go do this or that, whatever it is. So that is essentially what we have as an offering. So Dickie, I'll let you.
Where do I sign up? I mean, this sounds incredible. I mean, you sound like a dynamite coach, Donny.
I'm a robot. So yeah.
That was pretty killer. I will say that getting into that second mountain, it's an adaptive leadership. It's a gray area. Nobody's been there before. That's what we love. I mean, the challenges of business that aren't, anybody can figure out profit and for the most part, cash flow, and for the most part, people. We can design systems, but when you're deciding, do we do market diversification, product change? Do we do different locations? Like all of those, monumental type of shifts. That's what we love, and figuring out how the dynamics of a team and the product would work together. So yeah, that's what we love. And I'd say one of the things I've loved about our work is seeing teams come back together. Like we do a lot of what feels like restoration of like you've got two different personalities and we get some common ground and show them, hey, we're all going in the same direction. And I had an owner, he bought 3 businesses. So he's a fund, bought a bunch of businesses, and I had to run this meeting for him, basically run this interference on this meeting. Get done with the meeting. He's like, we didn't talk about anything I didn't talk about with them. Why did it go so well? And I was like, man, I don't know. I just think having an extra body in the room to navigate, to ask questions, and that's been a really fun part for me to feel like people get liberated, but they don't know how. They're like, how did that voodoo happen? I'm like, I don't know. I just kind of stepped in and asked the right questions, but it's not something we do always special. It's just asking the right kind of questions at the right time.
Yeah. So the way you get a hold of us, businessonpurpose.com, that's a website, or you can do Brandon or Sean, SHAWN, at mybusinessonpurpose.com. And you can email us directly because of the nature of this podcast. Please email us directly and we'd be happy to reach out. We've gotten a number of requests from people and it's just fun for us to be able to make that connection on the podcast. But email is great. We will respond at some point and get you what you need. We believe the best marketing is coaching. So we are going to work to liberate you from chaos, whether you're a client or not. And hopefully you start to see the need for it. So yeah, that's how you can reach us.
You should definitely.
Okay, well, we believe that the best coaching is marketing. So
there you go.
There you go.
Perfect. Yeah. I appreciate you guys coming on to the pod. I'm going to link everything as always in the description. Reach out to Dickie, reach out to Donny, liberate your business. This has been, I think we could have went for like 3 hours. I had a bunch of questions that we didn't even get to. So,
well, we can do a part 2.
Yeah, I think part 2 and maybe part 18 eventually. I mean, this is
Peyton
really
Manning,
insightful.
I love
you guys know your stuff.
The Indiana boy loves Peyton Manning. No surprise.
18 is 33, baby. Larry Legend.
What are you talking about?
Hey, it's been awesome. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, and look forward to having you back on here.
Yeah, thank y'all. This is awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.